Hi there, I'm Eitan, and welcome back to the Wix Wiz. This is the third episode in our Wix Gallery series, and this time we're going to be diving even further into some more advanced Velo things that you can do with your gallery. And specifically, we're going to be creating an interface which allows the user to upload their files and see them in a gallery, select a certain image, move it backwards and forwards within that gallery, and even choose to delete it if they no longer want it. And once they are comfortable with the arrangement of the gallery, to go ahead and confirm that and upload it to a collection. So if you want to see how to do all that and more, let's get started. Okay, so first of all, let me go over our setup. And what we have here is a gallery, but this gallery is just a temporary gallery for uploading purposes. So this isn't the final gallery that we're going to be using to display images on our site. This is something to facilitate the user upload of content to galleries. And in order to do that, of course, we have an upload button, and the user will be able to select several files to upload. After they've uploaded those files, they'll be displayed here in the gallery. And then once the user clicks and selects a certain image, it will appear here on the side, and we will be able to do some manipulations to it. So either move it up or down within the order of the images, or click the X in order to remove it from the images. Once the user is happy with the images that they've uploaded and the order, they will be able to click the confirm button, and that will confirm that these are the images that need to be displayed in the gallery on the actual live site or on the pages that are for external users or the user themselves, but not this upload area. Okay, so that's what we're going for here, and that's the setup that I have. Obviously, you can change things around a bit based on your use case, and definitely you can make a much nicer design than what I have here. I'm going to be focusing a lot on the functionality. Okay, so the first step of this process is going to be uploading the files via the upload button and then displaying the files that have been uploaded here in this gallery without actually storing them as an item in a collection. We're just going to be displaying them here on the front end. Just note that we are actually uploading these images to Wix, and we'll talk later on about how we can delete images that aren't used in the end in the final gallery. So let's start by setting up this upload button. So I'm just going to open our our code editor over here. And if you haven't done so yet, then you're going to want to go up and turn on dev mode. Okay, that's how you'll get to this code area down here. And as always, the first thing we do is start with naming. The name here, upload button, is pretty okay. I'm just going to get rid of that one because we only have one upload button on this page, so there's no reason to have that number after it. And I'm also going to rename our gallery here, and I'm just going to call it uploads gallery. Now, once we've done that naming, we're going to tap into the properties and the methods of our upload button. And the way we're going to do that is, let's take a look here at the documentation. So here within the methods of our upload button, we have this method of upload files, and this is something we can call in order to get the button to actually upload those files to Wix. And after that, it will return an array over here with the actual uploaded files, and within that array we'll have some important information, specifically the file URL, which we'll be able to use in order to display those images inside of our gallery. In addition to this upload file method, what we're going to be using is also the onChange method, and that will allow us to upload these files as soon as the person selects them using the button. You also have the option of using two separate buttons for this, so one for them to upload the files and the other one to confirm and actually complete the upload. It's really a matter of just UX and taste. So let's go back to our editor, and I'm going to start over here by selecting our upload button, and then I'm going to say on change. So that means essentially when the user selects files using the button, then what we're going to do is we are going to actually upload those files. So I'm going to say const uploaded files equals 2, and this is going to be something asynchronous, so I'm going to be using the await keyword, and I also have to make sure to turn this callback function into an async function, and I'm going to await upload button dot upload files. And then after we've completed that upload, this should be essentially an array with all of the information about the files that have been uploaded, essentially those URLs that we have. So after we get those uploaded files, what I'm going to do is I'm going to want to map those files into a format that our gallery can take. And we played around with this a bit last time using the items property of the gallery. So let's create a new variable and we'll call this gallery items. And this is going to be equal to uploaded files dot map. And then for each file, what we're going to do is we're going to format it in the format that our gallery can take. So let's just go ahead and take another peek at the documentation just to refresh our memory about how this is supposed to look. So, whoops, let me go over here to our gallery documentation and here under items. So we can see right over here, let me scroll down a bit. So you can see here, so we need it to have a type, we need it to have a title, and we need it to have a source. At the moment, I'm going to assume that everything that we're uploading is images. If you have a different scenario, then it might be a little more complex to set it up, but theoretically should still be possible. And what I'm going to use here for the title, let's take a look here at our uploaded files and see what might be a good use for the title. So let's say original file name. So that's what we'll use for the title. So let's go over here back to the editor. And here we're going to have, again, we're going to have that title, which is going to be the file dot original file name. We're going to have right over here, we're going to have the source, which is going to be our file URL. So let's go over here and say source equals to file dot, let me zoom in here, file dot file URL. And we also have the type, which is always going to be image for now. And once we have these gallery items all mapped out, what we can do is we can assign those to our actual gallery. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to select our uploads gallery. And I'm going to say that the dot items property should be equal to our new gallery items. And with that, that should be enough to actually get those files that we just uploaded and display them in the gallery. I'm going to add in some console logs just in case we encounter some errors along the way so that we can do some easy debugging. So let's add one log here just to log our uploaded files. So I'm going to log here uploaded files. And let's put in one more log here after we format them just to see what the formatted files look like. So here we're going to say gallery items and gallery items. Awesome. So I'm feeling pretty good about this. One last thing I want to make sure of is that we can actually upload multiple multiple files using our upload button. So let's take a peek here at the settings. And now I can see here that we have image, but the max number of files over here is 1. So I'm going to change that, let's say, to 10, and that way I will be able to upload 10 images at a time. Awesome. So now we're ready to do some testing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to publish the site. And I'm going to head over to the live site so we can see what this looks like. Okay, so here we are on the live site. And as you can see, this gallery already has some default images in it. It would be very simple just to go into the gallery and delete those. I just wanted them there so that we can see that there's a gallery there visually for the tutorial. But obviously, in your scenario, you're not going to want to have images that the user didn't upload. So now let me head over. I'm going to click Add a File. And I'm just going to select a few random images which happen to be different thumbnails from recent videos. And I'm going to open them here. And once the upload here is complete, then we should see our code executing. And now you can see that those files are being displayed here in the gallery. Let's take a peek here at the console just to see those logs that I put in. So right over here, we can see our uploaded files. And these are what the files look like when they're uploaded through the button. And these are what the gallery items look like once they are formatted. Okay, so these are files that are currently stored in our Wix storage. but they are not actually stored in a collection that's organizing them for a gallery. So nothing on our, I'm saying live site, but nothing on our external user facing site shows these images yet. Okay, so we still have a process where we can go ahead and change their order and delete the different images before we confirm that this is what we actually want to be in the gallery. And that's what we're going to do right now. So the next thing that we're going to do is program the buttons that allow the user to switch around the order of the images in our temporary gallery. And this is going to involve some fun with arrays and JavaScript where I'm sure I'm going to make a lot of mistakes. But let's hop in and try and get that started. So when they click the button over here, we're going to want to move our image back one or up one. You can change the direction of the arrows based on the UX and what you think is best for your user. But in our use case, so this is going to move an image backwards one, and this is going to move an image forward one or down one. So I'm going to call this one move back button. And I'm going to call this one over here move forward button. Okay. And basically what we're going to do is when one of these buttons is clicked, we're going to switch the current selected item or current selected image with the image that's next to it, either in back or in front. Okay, and in order to facilitate that, we're also going to need to have a selected image. So let me go over here. I'm going to select this, and I'm going to change the name here to selected image. And what we're going to do is that when the user clicks on one of the images in the gallery, that will be the currently selected image. So let's start with that because that's going to be our first step. So let me go over here and I'm going to set up an event listener for our gallery. And this is something that we played around with a bit last time. So let me select our gallery dot on, and here we're going to say item clicked. And let's go back to the documentation just to do a refresher of what we're going to actually get here in this callback function when an item is clicked. So let me go over here back to items and look for that here in the documentation. So on item clicked, and we can see here that we're going to get an event, and this event is going to have event.item, and then we can tap into those items properties such as the item source or the item index. So let's go over here back to our code. And once the item is clicked, so we're going to have that event. And we're going to say that const image, or let's call it selected image source equals to event.item.source. And then we're going to attribute that source to our selected image. So let's go over here and say selected image dot source equals to selected image source. In addition to this, I'm also going to want to store the index of the image that has been selected. And I'm going to want to store this as a global variable so that we can tap into it later if the user decides to, let's say, move around these items. So let's declare a global variable up here above our onReady function. And I'm going to call it let selected image index. And it'll start off not being defined at all. And down here, inside of our onItemClicked function, when we actually click, I will say here that our selected image index will be equal to event dot item index. Okay, and then we're kind of storing the index, and we'll see in a moment how we can use that. But let's just double check and make sure that our image selection is working. So let's go here into preview mode. Sorry, this actually won't work in preview mode. This will only work currently on our live site where we actually have uploaded those images. The thing is that I don't want to have to upload new images every single time we do testing. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to grab this array of uploaded files from the console over here. So let me just go here and copy this array. And I'm going to store it here inside of my code. So let's say, whoops, that is not what I wanted to do. I'm going to store it here in my code as a variable. So let's call it test images. And let me paste that right over here. So this is an array that looks exactly like images that were just uploaded. Okay, and that way we won't have to upload new images every time that we do testing. And we'll also be able to do some of this testing more easily inside of preview mode. One more change that I'm going to make, also for our movement of images, but also to facilitate our new test mode, is that instead of having the uploaded files being declared over here, I'm going to change those uploaded files to being a global variable. So let me go over here and I'm going to declare a new global variable. So let uploaded files. And I'm also going to declare a global variable for our gallery items. So let gallery items. And then down over here, back inside our original function. So here, instead of declaring these variables, we're just going to be assigning these variables. So uploaded files and gallery items. And this is giving me uploaded files. Did you mean uploaded files? Oh, sorry, this needs to be capitalized. Yes, okay. Awesome. Now that I've capitalized upload files, what I'm going to do as a last thing to facilitate our testing mode is instead of assigning these uploaded files to the variable at this point, so where we are in the on change, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just assign them as we load the page. Obviously, this is not what's going to happen in your final version, and I'm going to show you how to kind of rewind all of this testing mode at the end, but we need this testing mode so that we don't have to upload new images every time that we want to do testing. So what I'm going to do here is inside of the onReady function, what I'm going to do is I'm essentially going to copy this code and I'm going to paste it over here. And just here, instead of waiting for the uploaded files, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to assign our test images. Okay, so then basically here what we're doing is we're replicating a scenario of uploading, but we're doing it as we load the page, so it's as if we're in the state where we've just uploaded the images. So let me go ahead and I'm going to format the code here, and let's go into preview mode, just so we can make sure that everything we just set up is working. Okay, so here you can see that we're in a state as if we just uploaded some images, and let's see if our image selection works. So I'm going to select this image, and I see here that it's opening up in a new window. So in order to fix that, and you can see it uploaded here as well, but to prevent it from uploading it, opening kind of in a new window as well, I'm just going to disable that here inside of the gallery settings. So we're going to go here to settings, and when clicking on an item, nothing happens. Okay, so only our custom behavior will take place, and we touched a bit on this also in the previous tutorial. So now that we have a selected image, we can hop in and explore how we are actually going to change the order of the items in the gallery. Okay, so let's start off by thinking how we're going to program our back button. And there's a little thinking that needs to go in here in array logic, but I think we can get through it. So let me open up here the code panel, and I'm going to add the event listener for our back button. So back button, move back button dot on click. And now let's think what essentially we want to happen here. So first of all, we're going to want to have the information about what the current selected item is and the one before it. Okay, so let's go ahead and say that our selected image is going to be selected image is going to be, and we're going to go and tap into our new variable that we created, so gallery items, and it's going to be gallery items selected image index. Okay, and the item before it is going to be const previous item equals to, and then we're going to say gallery items, and it's going to be selected image index minus 1. One important thing that we want to do here is we want to prevent the scenario of us trying to accidentally move the first image. So that image obviously can't be moved back because it's in the first position. So what I'm going to do here is right before we actually start running all this code, I'm going to say that if our selected image index is 0, then we're going to return. So essentially, we're not going to execute any more code. You can also add kind of like an error message or something like that, but I'm just going to stop executing the code to prevent it from breaking anything. Once we have our selected image and our previous image, now what we want to do is essentially swap out these two images. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to declare a variable that's going to be our temp gallery images. And I'm going to say that this is essentially equal to the gallery images array, gallery items array, and I'm spreading it in so that it creates essentially a new array. And now when I make changes to the temporary gallery array, it won't make changes to our global variable. So what I want to do essentially is I want to assign our selected image to the index before it, and I want to assign our previous item to the index after it. So essentially we're just going to swap the position of those two images. I hope I just hit my mic, so I hope that didn't create any kind of issues there with the sound. And the way that we're going to do that is we're going to say that temp gallery images, and we're going to say that the selected image index minus 1 should be equal to the selected image. So the previous image should be equal to the current image. And we're going to say that temp gallery images selected image index, so essentially the one that we were moving, will be equal to the previous item. And this, sorry, should not be selected image index. This should be selected image, because we want to shift the entire object with all the information, not just the index, of course. And then after all this is done, what we're going to do is we're going to say that gallery items should be equal to temp gallery items. So we're going to rewrite the array with our changes, and we're going to assign these new gallery items to our gallery. So let's select our gallery, uploads gallery dot items, and that will be equal to gallery items. Okay, so I'm feeling decently good about this code, which means that there's only a 90% chance that it'll, no, sorry, only like a 5% chance that it'll break instead of a 50% chance that it'll break, but let's take a look and see. So I'm gonna go and let me just zoom out here, and let's head into preview mode. And so let's go ahead, I'm gonna select this image right over here, and let's try moving it back and see what happens. And you can see that these two just switched places. Now let's see, for example, what will happen if I click this back button again. So now I'm curious to see what will happen. So let's go and click that again, and now they switched back. Okay, so that is not exactly the behavior that you'd expect. You'd expect for, if you click back again, for it to move back another one. So in order for that to work, we're just going to have to update the index, the selected index of this currently selected image. So let's head back into the editor. And in order to do that, so let's just go over here. And what we're going to do is we're going to say that our selected image index should now be equal to selected image index minus 1. Okay, so that should essentially tell the system that we've moved it to a new index. And now if I press back again, it should work with the updated index. So let's take a look at that. Obviously, there's a nice amount of refactoring that we can do here to make our code more efficient, but first make it work, then make it more efficient. That's my philosophy. So let me click this right over here, and I'm going to hit the back button. So we moved it back 1, and I hit the back button again, and you can see that it moved back again. And now I can select this image, let's say, and move it back. And this is actually kind of fun. I'm kind of enjoying it. But I'm going to stop here, and now let's create the same and opposite logic for moving the images forward. Okay, so creating the logic for our move forward button is not going to be very complicated because it's essentially what we have here for the move back button, just we need to change it from being selected image index -1 to +1. And obviously, it would be best to have kind of a generic function that just has that small change running in it. But what I'm going to do initially is I'm just going to copy over all this code, make the necessary changes, make sure it's working, and then later on, if the tutorial isn't too long, we can think about refactoring the code, or I will leave that to you as homework. So let's go ahead and select our move forward button, dot on click, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to copy over all of this code right over here and paste it. And let's now discuss what the things are that we need to be changing here. So first of all, we need to change this logic because if the selected image index is 0, we still want to be able to move it forward. The case where we don't want to be able to move it forward is if the selected image index is equal to the last index in the array, which is essentially equal to gallery items dot length -1. Okay, so if the selected image index is equal to the last one, then we don't want to be able to move it forward anymore because that's impossible. If you want, maybe you can try and create some cool logic where it goes in circular, but I think that's a little too complex for this tutorial. And the other thing that we want to change is here, as I said, this needs to be +1, and this also needs to be +1, and down over here, this also needs to be +1. So that's pretty much all the changes that we need to make. So adding instead of subtracting. And let's take a peek and see if this is working. So I'm going to head here into preview mode. And let's select this one right over here. So I'm going to try moving it forward and backwards. And that all seems to be working quite nicely. Okay, so we managed to create our moving forward and backwards functionality. So the last thing that I'm going to do before we program the confirmation is to show you how to delete something essentially from this temporary gallery. Okay, so now let's talk about this delete button over here. And what we're going to do essentially is that when somebody clicks that delete button, we are going to remove that specific gallery item from our gallery items array, but we're still going to keep track of it just in case when we click the confirm button over here, we're going to want to make sure to delete that file from our Wix Media Manager so that we don't have all of these garbage files that the user didn't end up using, even though they uploaded it for this temporary arrangement stage. So let's program our delete button. So I'm going to go over here back into our code. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to declare a new global variable over here for our deleted items so that we can store them for later on. So I'm going to say here, let deleted items. Now that we have that global variable, I'm going to set up the event listener for the delete button. And before I do that, I think I still need to name the button. So let's give it a click right over here. And I'm going to go over here and call it delete button. Now that we're done with the naming, I am going to go over here and set up the event listener. So let's zoom in here, and I'm going to select our delete button. And I'm going to say that dot on click what we're going to do is we are going to splice out the image that's at the selected index. So I'm going to say const item to delete, and I'm going to say that this should be equal to our gallery items dot splice. And here we're going to splice, so the place that we start the splicing, that's essentially going to be the index of the currently selected image. So selected image index, and we're always going to be deleting only one image at a time. So I'm going to put the number 1 over here, and this will essentially change our gallery items to not include that image or that item that we're deleting, and we're going to store this item to delete inside. Sorry, I don't know if you saw everything I wrote. So this is what I wrote before. I just realized that the screen might not have moved. So essentially here you see splice selected image and 1. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to first store our item to delete inside of the deleted items gallery. Deleted items array. So let's say that deleted items dot push, and we're going to push in the item to delete. And the next thing that we're going to do is we need to repopulate our gallery with the updated gallery items. So let me select our gallery, uploads gallery, and I'm going to say dot items should be equal to and gallery items. So let's take a look and see if that's behaving as we expect. So let me go into preview mode. And let's select one of the items. There we go. And I'm going to click the delete button. And it didn't do what I thought it would do. Let's see if we have any errors here. I don't see any errors. So let me go back to the editor and we'll add in a console log. The tutorial really has been going too smoothly until I've been getting too lucky. So I deserve some kind of error here. So let's do console.log item to delete, and we'll also log the gallery items here. So let me go over here back into preview mode, and I'll select, and let's click delete. And here we can see, awesome. So this is indeed, so we do indeed have that image that we wanted to delete. And let's take a look here at the other array. So it does have array 4. Interesting. So the data is arranged in a way that we want. So let me see if I made some other mistake here. So items equals to gallery items. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try, let me try spreading this into a new array. Let's see if that works. This is very interesting. Let's see. So I'm going to select this and try and click delete. No, so a new array doesn't work either. Let me try doing something else. What I'll try and do is I will try and get rid of all the items inside of the uploads gallery and then reassign the gallery items. So I'm saying that it should be equal to an empty array. And then let's try and assign this over here. So dot items equals to, let me zoom in so you can see what I'm doing. And this will be the gallery items. Okay, so essentially here, first we're getting rid of everything that's in the gallery, and then we're going to put in the gallery items again, hopefully the updated version with only 4 items. So let's see if that logic works. Head into preview mode, select one of these, click delete, and I don't see it working, so that means that I need to go and dig very deep, and I will be right back once I figure it out. Okay, so I'm back and I found the mistake, and I'm sharing it with you because I think it's a good learning opportunity. So first of all, sometimes in the live site, so in the published site, you can see certain errors in the console that you can't see inside of the Wix developer tools. So if you're ever experiencing any problems and you can't really identify why the error is happening, then checking out the published site and the console on the published site is always a great debugging method. And to be honest, I already had a hunch about what the issue was, but I specifically went here just to show you. So here we can see here that cannot read the properties of undefined reading push. And that's because over here, I was trying to push the item to delete into deleted items. But as you can see here, deleted items is not an array. It's just an unidentified object. Not even an object, an unidentified variable. So I'm going to change this to be an array. And that's essentially what was causing all of the code here not to continue running. So this here was throwing an error, so none of the code here was running. And so I misidentified the problem there. It wasn't with the actual assigning of the items to the upload gallery, it was actually with the line before it. So we can get rid of this excess line here now. And I have a pretty good feeling that it's going to work. So let's head into preview mode. And what I'm going to do now is select one of these and click the delete button. And you can see here that it's deleted from our gallery. And go ahead and click delete. And let's try moving back and forth again. So back, forth. Okay, so we can see that everything here seems to be working quite well. Let's see, once I click delete here. So one cool thing that we could do is that once we click delete, we can get rid of the source of this image, because it's a little weird that we're still displaying this image over here. So let's go ahead and do that. So what I'm going to do here is that once we assign this back to the uploads gallery, I'm also going to get our selected image and say that dot source should be equal to null. Okay, so it'll be nothing, and that should get rid of the image being displayed there. So now that we've visually removed the deleted item, and we've also removed it from our gallery items, let's move forward and talk about how we are going to confirm this upload by essentially storing our arrangement of this gallery inside of a collection and also deleting any excess files that we decided not to use at the end in our gallery. Okay, so let's first take a peek at our collection and do a little refresher about how the data was structured there. So I'm going to head over here to my collections, and here we have a collection called media. I'm going to go ahead and open it up, and here we have individual items. Okay, and each one of these items has a media gallery inside of it. Okay, so what I'm going to be doing now is essentially adding a new item to this media collection, and we're going to be using the arrangement of our current gallery after the user has made all their changes as the media gallery here for the new item. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to go and open this up. And the first thing is I'm going to rename our confirm button. So let me go over here and rename this confirm button. And we're going to tap into its event listener for on click. So let's select confirm button and on click. So essentially what we're going to want to do here once it's clicked is to insert a new item into our collection. In order to do that, we're obviously going to need Wix data. So let's go up here to the top and import Wix data. And I'm going to do that here above my declarations. I always like to put imports up at the very top. So let's go ahead and import Wix data from Wix data. And now we can go back to our onClick right over here. And what we're going to do is we're going to say that await, this is going to need to be an asynchronous callback function. And we're going to do Wix data.insert. And we're going to be inserting into that media collection. And we can take a look over here. Over here. and see that the name, the ID that we want to use here is media. So I'm going to go ahead and just copy that. And that's what we're going to be inserting right over here. Let me close this. And what we're going to be inserting is to insert. And let's talk about what this thing that we're going to insert is now. So this is going to need to be an object. So const to insert equals 2. And it's going to have the information pertaining to the gallery. So let's again take a peek here at our databases. And if we open this drop down here, then we can see that we can include a title, we can include an image if we want, and we can include the media gallery. So those are the 3 properties that we can upload. Obviously, your use case might be completely different, but the one thing that we're going to have in common is that we're both going to have this media gallery that we're uploading these images to. So let me go over here. And for title, I'm just going to say item 5, because I think that's what we were up to in terms of the numbering there. And we're also going to have the media gallery, which is going to be equal to our gallery items in whatever state they're in once we decide to confirm and upload. And once this insert happens, then everything should be successful. So let me just add here a try catch. And this will catch any errors if there are any errors with the upload because this is an asynchronous function. And here, if there's an error, I'll just do console.log error. And if the upload is successful, then I'll add in a log, console.log upload successful. Awesome. And there's one more thing that we said that we wanted to do after the upload, and that is to delete any images that we're not actually using. So any images that we stored here inside of the deleted items array, we want to remove those from our Wix media storage because storage is limited and costly, and we don't want to just store images that people uploaded but then decided not to include in their final gallery. So let's go and discuss how we're going to do that. We're going to be doing it using this backend method from Wix Media Backend. And essentially this will move files to trash based on the file URLs. So in order to do this, we're going to need to set up some code in our backend. I'm going to go and I'm going to copy this boilerplate code from right over here in the documentation, head back to the editor, and let's create a backend file over here. So I'm going to create a new web module, and I'm going to call this media. You can call it whatever you want. I'm going to call it media, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to paste in. Whoops. I'm going to paste in. 1 second. Let me get rid of everything. And I'm going to paste in the boilerplate code that we copied over. So now you can probably see it a little more clearly. Essentially, it's a function that will take in file URLs, and then it will just move them to the trash. So this code is pretty much ready. We don't really need to change much. I'm only going to change the name of this function. So I'm going to call it, let's say, delete unused files. Okay, just to make it a little more appropriate for our scenario. And now what we need to do is to import this inside of our front-end code. So let me go back to our page. And right here on top, what I'm going to do is I'm going to import the function that we wrote in the backend from backend/media. And now we can call this function and pass in the URLs from our deleted items. So let's do that right over here. Let me go down, 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 down. So right over here, after we do the insert, what we'll do is we will say await, delete unused files. And here we'll need to pass in the file URLs. Okay, so now how are we going to get these file URLs? We're going to do that by mapping our deleted items array. So let's do that right over here. We'll say const file URLs equals to, deleted items dot map. And for each item, essentially all we are going to need is the item dot source. Because remember, these are still in that format of media gallery items. So they have the title, the source, and the media type, but we only need that source because we're only passing in URLs. And that's what we're going to do here. So we're mapping those URLs to a new array, and we're passing it to our backend function. And hopefully that should delete the unwanted files. So what I'm going to do now is go ahead and publish this and head over to the live site and hopefully give you the last grand demonstration. And if not, then at least find an interesting error that we can learn from. Okay, so let's try and test out our creation. So first of all, let me select one of the images and try moving it kind of back inside of the gallery. And then I'll select, let's say, 2 items to delete. Now that I'm happy with these images, these are the images I want to keep. This is the order that I want. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click confirm. And we can see here that the upload was successful. So let's head over here into the editor and check out our actual collection. And we can see here that we inserted a new item into the collection, and the images here are in the order that we ordered them inside of our temporary gallery, and it's only the 3 images that we decided on finally. So now that we're happy with that, let's take a look and see if we actually managed to delete the unused images. So I'm going to head over here to Media, and I can see here that I seem to have one of these images 3 times, but I do see that one of the 2 images, or the 2 images essentially that we didn't use, were deleted from, Let me take a look here at our backend logs, and we can see here success files have been trashed. So for some reason, this file is here several times. I think I may have uploaded it in some of the previous tutorials as well, so that's why you're seeing this here 3 times. But essentially, we did manage to delete the files that the user decided not to put in their gallery. So let's head back to the code and just fix up the code so that it's not using our test case, but it's using our final the code as we'd want it to work for the user. And I'll also point out a few small bugs that I encountered as I was doing some final testing. So let me head here into our code. And first thing, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of these test images over here. So let's get rid of these test images. And I'm also going to get rid of this code over here that we were using for testing purposes. Okay, so now we're back to our original state where we were essentially uploading the files on change. And I'm also going to just point out 2 small changes that I made. So first of all, over here, where we are pushing the item to delete into a new array. So this item to delete after we use splice is actually in array format. Okay, so this item to delete is originally an array. And what we need to do is we need to select the item 0, the single item in the array, in order to push it into a new array. So that's one thing that I realized as I was kind of doing that final test. And one more little mistake that I made here is with the name of Media Gallery. So I had originally used a capital G where it should have been a lowercase g. So a small technicality, I just wanted to point that out in case you were following along with the code. And now what I want to do is do a code review. So I'm going to go through all of the code that we wrote from beginning to end and review it and go through the explanation again, just in case you want to get a final understanding of the flow of all the code. Okay, so this is the code review, and please let me know in the comments below if you're even watching now and if you like this part of the tutorial. This is something new that I'm trying out. I've never done this kind of code review before, but if you tell me that it's useful, then I will include it in future tutorials as well. So I'm just going to go and run through all the code that we wrote so far, or that we're planning on writing today as well, and just re-explain the flow and the thought process behind the code. So first of all, up here on top, we're importing Wix data. that we're going to be using later on, and we're also importing a function that we declared in the backend for throwing our unused files into the trash. We then go ahead and we declare four global variables. So the selected image index, which stores the index or the number of our currently selected image, the uploaded files that we uploaded from the upload button, the gallery items, so our conversion of those uploaded files to the gallery items format, and the deleted items, so the items that we decided were not be included in the final gallery that we want to throw in the trash later. Then here we have our onReady function, and inside of our onReady function, essentially what we have is just a bunch of event listeners for all of our different buttons and for the gallery. So first we have the onChange event listener for our upload button, and essentially what this does is it gets the uploaded files after they're uploaded to the Wix Media Manager, and then it goes ahead and it converts those into a format that can be assigned to the items of the gallery items. Okay, so that can be assigned to our gallery, and then we assign them over here. So that's what happens here in this onChange. After that, we have the onClick event for our uploads gallery, and essentially we're using this in order to define what our selected item is and what the item that the user actions are going to be executed upon is. So we get this item through the event by selecting event.item, and we assign the source to our selected image display, and we assign the index to the selected image index for use further on when we're moving that item back and forth and when we delete it. Then we created the move back button, and right under it we also have the move forward button, and these have equal but opposite logic, where first of all we prevent the user from doing something that doesn't make sense, like moving the image too far back or too far forward. Then we store the values of the current image that the user has selected and the one either before or after it that they're going to be switching it with. Then we create a new temporary array with the that's a carbon copy essentially of the original gallery images. And then we do the switch over here where we assign the image that we selected to the place that it's moving to, and we take the image from the place that it's moving to and put it in the location of the selected image. Then we assign the gallery items, our temporary gallery items array, to the gallery items. And as well, we also update our selected image index so that if we decide to do two consecutive actions on the same image, that they'll actually be executed correctly. Finally, we go ahead and we assign the gallery items to the gallery. Okay, so that is the logic for the move back button, and the move forward button is equal but opposite logic. Finally, we have here the delete button, okay, and the confirm button, and the delete button will essentially splice out an item to delete from our gallery items, which both makes our gallery items smaller without that item that we removed, and we take that item that's stored over here in an array and we push it into a new array with all of the deleted items that we save for later so that we can clean them out of the media manager when we actually complete the upload to our collection. Then we assign this updated gallery items to the gallery, and we also remove the image from our selected image to indicate that it's no longer selected. Last but not least, we have the confirm button, which essentially inserts a new item to our collection. This is where you're most likely to have your own custom logic based on how you're storing this gallery and how you're going to be presenting it to users later on. But essentially, after the insert is successful, we call our delete unused files function on the file URLs that we create by mapping the deleted items and extracting just the sources or just essentially the image URLs from those deleted items. So that is the code summary. I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial. I hope you found it interesting and inspiring. and you take it and you do your own things on your site with it, and it solves some problems for you. If you did like it, don't forget to go and give that thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, because there'll be more cool videos like this about Wix and Velo every week. And I'll see you next time.